Well, YouTube, I think we're up to number 24 on the videos. CJ2A restoration, 1946. Get you caught up. So I think the last video I went over the frame and what we had done there and got the engine back in and all of that. Talking about where we're at. So got the wheels cleaned up, got all that old paint ground off and stripped off, repainted it with some gloss black. We're not going to go with that kind of, I don't know what it was, sunset orange, sunset moon orange or whatever it was that originally came with the Harvest Tan Jeep, but went with just gloss black, and I think that'll, give a little better longevity as far as, black's not going to show as much chips and wear as that orange. And, if we want to go back and change it back to orange a later time, it's real easy. Did use some wheel specific paint to help resist the chips and everything like that. But as you can see, I got the frame, got the engine, tranny, transfer, axle, all that. It's under a tarp over here, got it pushed over to the side of the garage here, got it on those little wheel dollies. And the reason for that, this table over here, actually under that little blanket there, is just the air cleaner, oil bath air cleaner, and then the steering column and some ancillary items that go onto the frame and also into the tub. But the reason we put that over there is so we could get the tub in here, start doing the cleaning, and find out what kind of body works we're going to need. Decided to go ahead and do the tub first, or get that in here and get that cleaned up first, because that's the majority of what we saw the wear on, and I would saw rot and stuff like that, and I'll point out a couple of those areas here in just a sec. But I did want to show you, we got it up on sawhorses, so making sure we can get top, bottom, sides, and everything, and see what we need to do. And I think the plan of attack here is to get everything on the inside, the top, and the outside, get all this paint stripped off of here and find out if we got any, Bondo or any kind of dents that have been filled, any kind of painted over pour weld fills or something like that, and get all that stuff stripped off of there, get it down to bare metal, and then flip it over and get that side stripped down to bare metal, and then we will start underneath it, on the bottom, because I know we're going to have to replace some hat channels under there, and obviously the inside of that toolbox. So plan of attack video here, just get you caught up in where we're at. This primer, it was just a quick prime job, and you can tell that because you can see here is a real good example. They didn't fill it in, any of the paint chips or anything like that. They stripped off the paint, they didn't strip off the paint, and anywhere where there was a chip, they just primered over it. And I guess the reason for that is they were gonna just, protect it with the primer coat, and maybe got stuck, lost money or something like that, decided too much work or what have you. And when that happened, I have no idea. We have no idea. There's no real history, and the owner, I believe, is followed up with the family that sold it to him. But anyway, you can see on the firewall here, that's the original Harvest Tan paint. And then I'm going to show you a couple of places where we can see the kind of secondary paint jobs that have been put on before that primer coating. You can see under the hood hinge there, the original Harvest Tan, and that's actually really nice color. Look at that. So that's really going to make the Jeep stand out, especially if we go back and do a couple of detail items like paint the Willys lettering, just kind of cover it with some black, just so it stands out a little better. And excuse me. Just had my COVID booster, so knocked me out for 2 full days, and actually got up this morning and felt absolutely great. So It's not really an allergy or anything. I think what happened is I got the COVID booster in one arm, and then I got the flu shot for this year in the other arm. I came home, I was fine that night, fever and sweat, chills. It just my immune system reacted so much to it. So enough about me. As far as the paint, you can see wherever they could get that paint gun, they just kind of sprayed it in there. So here's the Harvest 10, and then you got this red, whatever that red color they used. I don't know what it was. And then the yellow. The good news is that paint that they use, that red, it just flakes right off. I mean, it was on the wheels, and it was really easy to just wire brush that stuff off. Where I had to get the original paint off the wheels, I had to use a rotary brush on my grinder, and I actually tried to use some just cheap furniture citrus stripper, and within like 10 minutes it bubbled up, came right off, bare metal. So here you can just see that Harvest tan, and then the red, and then the black, and then the yellow, and then some places they've done the black over the yellow. It's just hodgepodge of paint jobs in here. And you know, here's the majority of the work that's going to need to be done. Knock on wood, you know, I haven't seen underneath it really good here in a minute, but I'll get a picture of that. But here's just the bottom of the floorboard, and you can see the oak that was inside the hat channel. It's been cut off, and then obviously it's been disintegrated over time. And then you can see here, that hand channel is just gone. Now, we could just throw a great big fender washer and a bolt and bolt this back to the frame, but that's really not the way to do it. So we will definitely redo the bottom of this toolbox, get a new piece of metal welded in there, and then this hat channel. And the hat channels actually come in a kit. They're preformed, they're already drilled, so you can plug weld them. So just get a plug weld bit for a drill, pop them off. There's some videos out there on YouTube on how to do that if y'all don't know how to do that. Or you can read on the internet or follow up with one of your mechanic buddies. Basically, it's a drill bit, got a little burr on it, and you hit that spot weld, drill it, and boom, there you go. Drill a pilot hole a little bit first, and then your hat channel will come right off. Grind down the residual welds so it's nice and smooth. Line up your hat channel and plug weld it, and you're good to go. So, well, more on that, and I'll probably try to show you how to do that as I do it. But here it is up on the sawhorses. The project this week will entail getting the paint removal brushes on the grinder and just getting after it and getting all this this grip coating, this sand coating that they put on here, and you can see it kind of sparkling. Get that all removed, and get all this paint, get it down to bare metal, see what we're working towards. And then some of the areas like this, you know, just put a block of copper behind that and then fill it in with your MIG, and then grind it down with the grinder, and that'll fill those in. I don't know what in the hell they did there, but you can see they used an angle grinder. They missed where they were gonna do. It's kind of like chip, 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 and then they hit it and then sawed. I don't know why there's a hole here. It's like it's a relief cut for some reason or something. So, and why that's there, but they didn't cut it all the way out. And there's no problem under here that you can really see. It's just they cut it for whatever reason. And there's a couple of little drill holes here and here. Don't ask me why those cuts are there. Kind of a bad spot to be right there on the corner. Because that affects your bracing, I guess, for your wheel well. Original CJ2A, so it doesn't have the fuel sump. It's all just flat. So your fuel pump or your fuel tank sits right here, and then your driver's seat would sit above it. A couple of the areas I'm worried about, you know, obviously we're going to have to get the hat channels, but also the steps. And you saw in the original video, I think it's like video number 1 or 2, just looking around it when this was all together, you saw somebody over the course of time had just taken some stock metal, and these are tack welded underneath there, but they just kind of drilled through the body tub here and kind of braced that, I guess, just to save the original step. And it is kind of dented back there. You can see, let me see if I can get, there you go. So see how it kind of bows in, so that we'll be able to get that out. I mean, it's right on the inside of the floor panel here. So you can see a crack here, kind of a crappy weld here, kind of a stick weld that they've done. But everything looks clean in here, you know. It's gonna clean up really nice, I think, and not take too much work. There is some little filler here, or maybe just some really heavy primer coating. But what you can do is you can buy actually the step, and this front quarter panel actually comes as a, you can buy them now. So basically right here at the seam, you would cut the seam, cut the welds out of the seam, cut the welds here and here, and then on the brace on the inside, undo those spot welds there, and then that would come off, and then your step and your front quarter panel would go back on there, and then you tack it back where it goes. As you can see, it's got the original shovel and axe slots here, but with this here, there's no loop to, you know, the loop that would cover the shovel when you have it mounted in, covered the holes. And I think that would have been one of the original holes, that one or that one, probably that one. And then there would be another one right about in here or here, and kind of a strap for your shovel blade. So we'll definitely repair what's behind there, and the step and the hat channels, but just showing you a little bit. Now, one of the things, you remember on the frame, let me stand back here so I can show you. On the frame, when I was measuring to get the frame back to spec, it was kind of down on the front passenger corner and up back here. Well, sure enough, the body tub is the same way. So there's hardly any weight on this back corner of this sawhorse. And the reason for that is the tub is also kind of kinked. It's very, very minimal, and we'll be able to repair that. But I think what happened over the course of time is obviously the frame that was that way, not extreme. I think it was about an 1/8 inch or so. But over the course of time, let me walk up here and show you one. The little whelping, or the pads between the frame and the body tub, little bushings, I guess they would call them, pads, they disintegrate over time. And of course, then that allows your frame to have, or your frame to your body to have a gap in there, and one disintegrates and then it kind of, you know, twists. So we'll make sure, I've already got the replacement pads and the whelping that would go around all those body mount points, sitting over there in the parts box. We just got to get this all cleaned up. So like I said, this week's project is to get this all stripped down, show you what I'm going to use. Paint stripping here, wheel for the grinder, use one of those. One of these babies will pretty much do the entire tub. It'll probably do the top and the sides as well, but those are really reasonable. I think they're about $6 for 5 of them or something like that, so not too bad at all. And it's got some more of that damn body bed coating, that truck bed coating stuff in there. Now, I'm not going to be able to use that wheel on that, because basically it just gums them up. You can't use a wire brush on that crap either. You have to actually get, you know, what I use is a sharp paint chisel and a dead blow hammer, and just kind of, you know, hit it and then chip it away. And remember, that's what I did on the frame, and then I went over it with the wire brush, and it cleaned up absolutely perfect. It was down to bare smooth metal, looked brand new. So kudos to whoever did the bed coating. For preservation, it did work, but taking that crap off, I'd like to kick you. And I also don't know if this grip stuff, you can see it's sparkling. I don't know what that's sand or that silicate that they put in the paint, to non-skid, I guess they call it. I don't know if that's gonna gum up my paint removal discs. stripper disc either, but I know for a fact it will take this excuse me, paint all the way down to metal. There's a couple of places already stand out. Let me go over here. Wonderful hole cutting jobs here. I don't know if they used a torch or what, but this hole right here, I have no idea what that was for, but it's right up on the toe of the gear or the gas pedal. There's an original hole here, but for whatever reason, I don't know, they used a torch or something to somehow cut this out, but they left this little gap here. I don't know why that's done that way. So that's gonna need to be filled in. The original toe starter. And then we got, you know, just some extra stuff we got to take off. The bracing and the mirror mount here, the hood latches, the little cable tie there. But it does have all the original bow mounting points here for the top and also here. So that's a good thing. Tailgate will eventually come off just so I can straighten it up. As you can see, the reason I want to leave it on here is it kind of braces everything. So as I'm stripping and before we flip it over, or after we flip it over, then I'll take that tailgate off. But it will be stripped all, you know, inside and out. But I wanted to make sure it's braced to give kind of, you know, the sagging that could potentially happen while it's up on the sawhorses. Prevent any more of that warpage that's already in there. You know, like I said, it's not real extreme, but it's enough to notice. Let's see. Overall, give you a shot. I don't know how well the light's going to be here, but let's see up underneath here. Overall, it's not too bad under there. They didn't really go after it with that that bed coating. That's just 75 years of crud and oil and grease and everything and road grime. So that'll chip right off. You can see it. It's a good, I don't know, thumbnail thick there. So that'll come right off for us. And you can see the original welds they did back in the day with the stick. It kind of looks like bubble gum, you know, stuck on there. It's kind of neat looking at the original processes and methods that the previous generations did, you know. Our species of monkeys have come a long way. So everything's straight. You can see right down the line. The good news is up here is nice and smooth. This isn't all dented in, you know, from laying the hood back if the hinge broke or whatever, and the windshield was back or whatever, too far. It's not all, I mean, there's a pretty good scratch there, but that'll come right out. That's just on the paint and the primer, but yeah. And there's extra grommet holes on the dash over there. Everything pretty much up to where the handbrake feeds out here. But those holes over there are for the data plates. And then one of those holes is, I don't remember, I think it was for a light, and then the other one was actually the rear of the coil, because for whatever reason, this version had the coil mounted right up in there, right there, kind of had a little a strap like this, and then it was bolted onto the front of the dash there, and then the coil wire would come out of one of these holes. I don't know, this one, that one, this one, that, whichever, this horizontal one or this oval one, and then it came out and went to the distributor. Now, as you know, the coil should set on the side of the engine with the straps, and then you got your coil wire going straight over to the distributor. So we're going to research that a little bit more, whether it needs to be mounted in there, if that was an original thought to keep it out of the elements, or if it can actually go back on the engine. The engine actually has the little mounting studs there, so we'll probably go ahead and do that. And then I did get all the grommets that would go around, you know, the speedometer cable holes here and stuff like that. And then original knockouts there. I don't know why. I think I talked about that before, but yeah, kind of neat. Everything's a good channel. This is not all rusted out. It's a little banged up and stuff, but nothing a body hammer can't get out. Some of these little little bends like here and here, and you know, a little dolly and a body hammer will just tap that right out, and then we'll get after that. So there we are. I did want to give a product plug, and when I was going through every grease zert on the frame, steering, the suspension, the the shifter levers, anywhere where there was a grease zert, I would highly recommend this Lucas Red and Tacky grease. This stuff it's actually GL2, so it is all purpose. It's got anti-seize in there. It is EP, so it's got pressure additives in it. So don't use it anywhere where there's brass. But I'll tell you what, that stuff is absolutely amazing. I have been using this type stuff, heavy duty bearing grease, but I'm gonna switch over to this from now on because that stuff is going to be extremely waterproof. It's not going to allow water to get in there because it's going to fill up all the voids, and it's so sticky and the viscosity is so thick that it is going to seal up better and keep all kind of particles and lubricate better over the course of time and stay stuck to what you got it and need to be lubed. So I use that on the entire frame. And then, as you know, the steering worm gear on this particular model actually has the grease zert. So they didn't use that. I think it was 140 weight oil or whatever in the typical CJ2As. This one actually has, and you can see the original zert fitting that is here, but they filled it up with actual grease. And so using that super sticky grease in there is going to definitely help in there as well. That is filthy. I apologize. I still got to clean all the crud on the outside and everything like that. But and we've got to still get a new horn button and get that soldered back on. But oil bath air filters repainted, cleaned, and got it ran kerosene and some car cleaner through it. It was filthy, but not so bad as somebody had cleaned it, and then so it's back together, ready to go back in. We'll do one final cleaning before we put it back together, and that'll come in the latter video. But plan of attack, like I said, is just get this stripped down to bare metal and find out what we need to weld and fab up, and any dents or holes we need to fill in. I will share that, as I showed you before, there's the toe support, I guess they call. There is the serial number, so I'll be sure when I work in this area stripping the paint off, I don't damage that number. And I don't know if that says 3057 or 5637 or 5837 or 5657, but obviously the number is there, so a little bit more of the confirmation of the early CJ2A. And those are the original toe kick support braces. You can tell by the welds, as you can see. So we're working with an original tub here, and luckily it's not a Franken-Jeep. The only thing, I guess, there is some parts that I've discovered that are kind of questionable. The rear axle being a Dana 23, and the 4.88 gear ratio. Everybody out there on the forums and all the specs I've looked at, that is not original to a CJ2A, but some parts diagrams that you look up, the exploded diagrams on particular websites, it shows a Dana 23 with that gearing, and the gearing matches the front end. So, it's just, I think it's just so early after the war that they had remainder, Ford and Willys and Jeep parts, well, Willys and Ford parts, that they, kind of put them on the early CJ2A for the civilian market. So a little bit more confirmation we need to go through. That will definitely affect the value of this vehicle, but when this all is said and done, I mean, we're talking about a good valuable vehicle here, especially since we're doing it right. Okay, another product plug, the Zero Rust paint that we used on the frame. You can see the remaining cans under there. We're going to use that on the bottom of the tub. There it is, Zero Rust. And the reason I want to show you or talk about that is I want to get down here on my little stool and show you what it looks like on the frame. After it's cured, it almost gives like a cast iron look, if you can see that. Do you see this right up in here on the right on the edge? It's obviously got the mirror finish on it, but you can see it almost looks like a cast iron skillet. And you want to talk about something that just gives the originality back to a restoration. It's really, really nice. And I think that's going to last for years and years and years to come. It just really looks amazing. And we use the Seal as a rust encapsulator and obviously let that cure. And then we applied the Zero Rust and let that flash and then went through it with another coating. Now I used a foam brush to put it on, and then I came back over and I kind of lightly buffed it so you don't see any of the brush marks there. So I just wanted to show you that because I thought that was really neat how that turned out. That cast iron look, you know, it almost looks like an old display World War II Bradley, or it's not a Bradley, I'm sorry, like a tank that you'd see on a roadside museum. It just really does give that extra protection and that extra little flair to anything that you coat it. So that turned out really nice. So we're going on a good 30 plus days of cure time. So all the VOCs have bled out of it, and now it's looking like it's gonna last for a long, long, long time. Sorry about the dust in there, but we'll go there. All right, so that's it, YouTube. Hang with us. Here's another shot of that underside of that step, just real quick, just to show you that disintegrated hat channel. And let's see if we can't get some of that wood out of there. Look at that old wood. You know, it did stiffen up the frame, but the problem with wood is it got wet and it held that moisture in there, and then your hat channels just rusted from the inside out. Or it would, you know, get wet and then freeze and then break your hat channel welds. So, you know, putting this back in there is definitely the originality of the vehicle. A lot of people don't do it. I'll talk with the owner and see what he wants to do, and you know, see maybe he wants to use teak or some other kind of wood in there. But that stuff's got to come out of there along with the hat channel. But you can see that original step is just gone. But a couple another just little rust holes and stuff like that. Oh, there's that bed coating. So, and if any of you know the person that had applied this bed coating out there in the real world, let them know that it does not help with the restoration as far as removal, but as far as preservation, like I said, yeah, it does a good job. Okay, I'll give you that. It's just a pain in the ass to get off. And we will definitely be getting after that this week. When this is down to bare metal, I'll come back with another video and show you. There's that beautiful Harvest Tan again, the original paint. That's what it looks like, folks. A little bit lighter shade than like a cardboard box, but a little bit kind of a, well, it's tan, you know, called Harvest Tan. They don't make it anymore, but I think DuPont actually mixes a paint code. I'll have to go back and look at the paint code. I believe, and I'm just gonna guess, I think it's P0102 or something like that. And then the funny thing is I didn't know they had an antenna. I don't know what that plug would be for otherwise, but there's a hole there with a grommet stuck in it. And we'll go from there. So more to come, and we'll follow up here in a couple of days, show you what it looks like all stripped of this stuff, and we'll get it back to you. All right, YouTube, have a good start to your week. Happy Veterans Day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.